Warning: the following visual novel contains subject matter that some viewers may find sensitive and perhaps even distressing. For example, this visual novel touches upon issues of xenophobia, anti-LGBT prejudice, toxic masculinity, abusive behaviour, and also sexual assault and the trauma that it inflicts upon its victims. This does mean that certain scenes within the game will likely make many players feel uncomfortable. If you have ever been a victim of xenophobia, anti-LGBT prejudice, abuse or violence, especially including of a sexual nature, then please be aware of this before you watch this playthrough. And please rest assured that the words and actions of certain characters within this visual novel should not be taken to reflect the views of either myself as a Let's Player or of the devs who made the game. For full disclosure, I am a supporter of LGBT rights. I am a supporter of challenging and tackling xenophobia and prejudice of any kind, and I am also well aware of the trauma suffered by victims of violence and abuse, and the need to therefore treat them with sympathy and support. The General Red Strategist channel is meant to be a safe space where people of all walks of life can come and enjoy my content. Thank you for listening to this. I just wanted to make this clear, as I felt that some of the issues touched upon in this visual novel could be shocking for some. Okay, back in. Just got myself a bottle of water, so apologies if you hear me gulping from time to time. Also, I'll try not to get too much gas coming in my throat from bubbles and all that. A few minutes later we reached the fragment. Mark was standing outside and staring into the distance, occasionally distracting himself to write something in a notebook. He was so engrossed in what he was doing that he only noticed us when we got close. "Oh wow, hey guys, I'm really glad that you're back. I was so worried about you." He said it without emotion as always, with a barely perceptible smile, but I was sure that he was really happy. "Where have you been all this time, and why did you come here and not to the plane?" "We were in the cave and we came here to tell you about it. Nick thought it would be good for you to know about it." I should say Mark looked at me and nodded, apparently showing that it was a good idea. Let's go inside the fragment then. It's a little warmer there and there is a place to sit." We went in and sat. "Would you like some boiled water? I brought it with me from the plane. It has cooled down, but it's still a little warm." "With pleasure." "I wouldn't mind either." Mark took a full bottle from the inner pocket of his coat and handed it to Nastya. Nastya drank about half the water in a few seconds, after which he passed the bottle to Boria, who just as quickly finished the rest of it. After finishing, he looked at us in embarrassment. "I probably should have left some for you guys." "No worries, I didn't really want to. I'll drink when we go back to the plane." "Me too." "So tell me now what happened to you." Boria repeated the story I'd already heard. That's misspelt. Repeated, it says. Mark rubbed his forehead thoughtfully. "It all seems so strange. That's not all. Nick also promised to share a story." "Right, listen. I told them about the sounds and the footprints. When I finished, I looked at the guys' faces. Their expressions spoke for themselves. Nick, are you sure you saw all this?" I was a little hurt. "By the way, I didn't doubt your words." "Sorry, it's just that your story's so hard to believe, especially in the part about the footprints. There's probably a rational explanation for all this, but we don't see it yet." "I hope so, because so far it sounds like something supernatural is going on here." "There is no supernatural." Mark's tone was firm. I wish I was as confident. "What are we going to do now?" "I want to explore the cave. Can you explain to me where it is?" "Do you believe it's a good idea? Maybe it's better not to?" "It can be dangerous, but our chances of survival are fading every day, so we must be prepared to take risks." "I'm coming with you." "No, stay with the guys please, they need your support now." I reluctantly agreed. Mark listened to Nastya's instructions on how to get to the cave and set off. "Oh, Mark. Oh, you better come back alive." "Oh, he did? Okay, well, there you go." Mark returned about an hour and a half later, when we'd already started to worry. He looked surprisingly pleased. "What took you so long?" "There was something interesting in the cave." "Tell us." "In short, there is an old bunker under the cave, and its entrance was open." I caught my breath. "And you went inside?" "Duh." "But it could have been dangerous there." "I've already told you, we have nothing to lose. I'm pretty sure that they have stopped searching for our plane, and this bunker may save us. At least it's warm there." "Was there any food there by any chance? Bunkers often have provision supplies, right?" "No idea. Turned out that my phone's battery had already died, so I didn't have a flashlight and I couldn't find out how to turn on the light in the bunker. I'll charge my phone and inspect the bunker again tomorrow." I imagined Mark wandering around the bunker in total darkness. Did you see anyone there, by the way? After my words, the positive emotions of all those present vanished. We all seemed to have forgotten how this conversation started. I didn't, but I assume that someone works in the bunker. Maybe it serves as a research centre. And these people talk to themselves and walk on all fours. There's nothing wrong with talking to yourself sometimes, especially when you live in a bunker located far from civilization for a long time. I agreed with Mark on this matter, but he decided to ignore the footprints part. Okay, tell me, what's the plan now? I proposed that we return to the plane, tell everyone about the cave, but skip the bunker part. Tomorrow I will go and inspect it again, after which we will tell everyone else about it, and if nothing prevents us, move there tomorrow evening. But will Andrey try and go? That's the question. Why don't we tell them about the bunker right away? What will this extra day change? Firstly, now everyone's on edge. I'm afraid that arguments or even panic may start. After I properly inspect the bunker, it will be safe to say that everything is okay there. And secondly, I don't trust Andrey at all. The less he knows in advance, the better. Mark seems to agree with me about the fog of war. Okay, that sounds convincing. Shall we head to the plane then? Let's go. The joy of the unexpected discovery outweighed all fears. For the first time in a few days, I believed that we would be rescued. Oh god. Oh god. Chapter 12. Kira. I do like the fact, though, that every time you get a bad ending in this game, it takes you back to the one choice that sealed that bad ending so you can change it. It basically takes you back to the choice that you made wrong, rather than sort of leaving you to guess what it was, as some visual novels do. In these mountains, time passed very slowly. If in the first days after the crash it was possible to spend time chatting with others, now I could not even find the strength to look in their eyes. Therefore, when Mark said before leaving, "If you want to talk, I'll be in the cave," and handed me a self-made map showing how to get there, I decided to follow him without thinking twice. Yes! Go to Mark! Go to Mark, please! Tell him what's going on. Put aside all the bad blood from your failed relationship and just confide in him. He might be able to help you. I didn't want Andrey to see us together, so I left about half an hour after Mark. At that moment, everyone had already woken up and were enthusiastically arguing about whether we should explore the cave, so my disappearance, most likely, will not be noticed right away. Judging by the stories of Boria and Nastya, the cave was not far away. The road to it should have taken about 15 minutes. It seems that I did not fully understand the map and made a small detour. For some time I finally saw fresh footprints leading to the entrance to the cave. Mark, are you here? Nobody answered. Have I come to the wrong place? Mark, can you hear me? It is unlikely that there were many caves in this area. What if something happened to Mark along the way, or even inside the cave? For some reason it didn't seem safe to me. Kira? Mark suddenly appeared out from behind a small ledge. I'm sorry, I didn't immediately hear you calling me. I wanted to say something, but I couldn't find the right words, so I just nodded. I'm happy you came. Come down here, please. They might notice us from above. Who? Marked his shoulders? What? Is that supposed to be Mark rubbed his shoulders or something? Someone besides us could also decide to come here. Nick said that Andrey asked Boria how to get here. We approached a small but steep descent. Holding onto the ledges, Mark first went down himself, and then helped me to do it as well. Be careful. Until your eyes get used to the darkness, it's easy to stumble. Holding my hand, he confidently strode forward. Where are we going? Into the bunker. Into the bunker? I decided to make sure I hadn't misheard. Yes, there is a bunker here. I always wished to visit a bunker. However, now was not the best time for it. I didn't want any new adventures. Why are we going there? I think it's worth moving here. We definitely won't last long on the plane, but in the bunker we may have a chance. I didn't really like this idea, but I decided to see the bunker with my own eyes before complaining. Soon we found ourselves in a corridor. Mark turned on the flashlight on his phone, found a switch on the wall, and turned on the light. Here we are. I looked around the room. The bunker was about what I imagined it to be, old and a little ominous. Kira, thank you for not voting with them. I didn't answer, and an uneasy silence fell. After about a minute, Mark spoke again. I also want to apologise to you for everything that happened before the crash and for everything that happened after. After? What do you mean? My foolish pride prevented me from taking the first step towards a reconciliation with the only person here whom I trust. Again, I didn't answer. It was very hard to force out words. It seemed that if I started talking I would definitely burst into tears. I really did not want to cry in front of Mark, especially here and now. Kira, I see that you have something to tell. You can share it with me if you want. I began to tremble. Even before coming, I knew that Mark most likely noticed the oddities in my behaviour and might start asking about what happened, but I didn't figure out what to answer him. What are you talking about? I don't get it. You don't have to tell me if you don't want to. I'm not going to push you, but I see that something has happened, and I promise to do my best to help you. Yeah, there's always the difficulty with, helping people who've suffered sexual violence, because you can't really push them to talk. You have to wait until they feel ready to talk about it. And of course, some may feel ready to talk about it soon, but others may be so kind of traumatised that they withdraw, and as a result you have to wait for quite some time. There's no kind of, silver bullet solution to it. I looked into his eyes. Mark promised me several times that he would stop disappearing, that he would begin to take our relationship more seriously. He then kept his word for 2 or 3 weeks, at best. But now I've decided to trust him. Perhaps it was because of the emergency. His indifference and irresponsibility in the matter of relationships seemed to be something absolutely insignificant compared to the fucked up situation in which I found myself. Mark, I want you to swear that you won't talk to anyone about what I'm going to tell you now until I give you permission. I swear. Mark has never been talkative. I was sure he would keep the promise. Well, I don't know where to start. It has something to do with Andrey, right? Yes. Did something happen when you were looking for the bags together? I swallowed. Yes, You remember he was my classmate, right? I do. And did you remember that girl who was raped and killed? She was also in our class. I told you about her. I really wanted him to remember. I was afraid that I would have to tell that story again. I remember. Her name was Lena, wasn't it? Yes. Andrey was the one who did it. Mark nodded, as if he had known this for a long time. Did he tell you about it? Yes. After he... Seeing how I was forcing out the words, Mark hastened to interrupt me. I got it. You don't have to go on. Did he threaten you? Despite all my efforts, I couldn't hold back my tears. Mark pretended not to notice. He had some kind of self-made knife. I'm not sure he could have seriously injured me with it, but I was very scared. And then he said he would kill me if I told anyone. Mark meditated. I wanted him to say something, but he remained silent. He's a murderer. These are not empty threats. He'll probably kill me. No, that's not going to happen. I won't let him. Yes. My boy Mark is standing up. Thank God. I doubted that Mark would be able to do anything. He never protected me, didn't like fighting, and, as it seemed to me, he won't be able to fight back against a ruthless killer. But thanks to the confidence in his voice, I felt a little less scared. There's hardly anything we can do right now. He's pretty with his words, and some of the survivors may not want to believe you. Mitrich and Vadim, for example, trust him fully. Even if the majority is on our side, I'm not sure that we'll be safe. Judging by what Mark said, the situation was hopeless. However, I was waiting for him to say but. But after we move to the bunker, the situation should change. There are rooms where we can isolate Andrey, and if necessary, those who will support him. And then we'll just wait for rescuers. There may even be means of communication with the outside world in the bunker, so we can call them. And when will we move to the bunker? Today. There's no point in stalling for time. We'll come back and I'll tell everyone about the bunker, that this is our chance. I hope we'll move before the evening. You better fucking check for where the guns are located and lock them up somewhere where friggin' Andrey and Vadim can't get them. Mark's plan looked logical and reliable, but something about it bothered me. Are you sure we can handle him in the bunker? Absolutely. I am the only one who has seen and explored the bunker, and most importantly, I found guns here, so we can protect ourselves if necessary. Have you done it while waiting for me? No, I've already been here yesterday. In recent days, Mark liked to walk alone, exploring the area and creating a map, so his absence did not seem unusual to me. I hope the others didn't suspect anything too. Kira, everything will be fine. We can handle it. We'll wait for the rescuers and then this bastard will receive his punishment. Mark tried to take my hand, but I pulled it away. Sorry, it was just a reflex. No, I'm sorry. I didn't want to make you uncomfortable. We sat there for a few more minutes. I was thinking about our conversation. Of course, I wanted to take revenge on Andrey, but my main goal was to survive. I felt almost no emotions other than fear. However, after the conversation with Mark, I started feeling a bit more confident. We'll only suspect we're up to something if we come back together. If he does, he may become aggressive. We will have weapons. He also has a weapon, and Vadim will probably help him. We have pistols, and he has a knife. I understand, but I'm still scared. Can't we avoid a shootout? Mark paused. We can try to take him by surprise. Then he is unlikely to resist. Did you tell anyone you were going to the cave? No. Then I'll go back alone, and you'll wait for us here. Staying in the bunker was also scary, but it was better than seeing Andrey. But you yourself said that he showed interest in the cave. What if he decides to come here? You'll lock yourself in one of the rooms and won't open it to anyone until I get back, and I'll leave you a gun. Okay then. I didn't really like the idea, but still, it was probably the best option we had. When are you going to leave? Wait here. I'll take another look around the bunker and come back. I'll be nearby. If anything happens, just call me. I don't want to stay here. I'd rather come with you. Fine. If you want, we can go together. I followed Mark into one of the rooms. It's this room, from the very beginning. Who built all this? They must be connected to the government. Hardly anyone could have built such a thing here without permission of the authorities. The room looked a little scary, but I was happy to return to the civilization after a long break. I wonder if they're going to find the bodies of the friggin' mountaineers from the start. Were all these doors open when you came here? Yes, except for the one at the end of the corridor. Doesn't that worry you? It was strange to see Mark, who has always been paranoid, so calm. It does, but what do you suggest? The other option is to get back on the plane and try to last another month in cold and without food. What kind of food have you found? Condensed milk and stew. Do they have expiration dates written on them? Yes, it's mostly 2023 or 2024. Wow, turns out this bunker was built not so long ago. It's unlikely that the stew can be stored for more than 10 years. I have no idea when it was built, but it seems to me that food supplies here are being refilled from time to time. What about the dates of manufacture? No, oddly enough. Moreover, they don't even have a brand name on them, only a label beef stew or something like that and the expiration date. There is a possibility that these are products of special production. Are they safe to eat? Most likely. At least nothing happened to me during the day. So you've already eaten? Yeah. You can have it too. There. He pointed to the far side of the room. There were 4 open cans on the floor, differing only in colour. Don't eat too much, it won't lead to anything good. And take it from the blue jar, okay? Just a little, you shouldn't overeat. Why did you open 4 cans? And why should I only eat from the blue one? I was looking for the most delicious one. It turned out that the blue was the best. Don't you think we might have different tastes? Maybe I want to try different ones too. Kiddo, please, if you want to eat, take the blue one. It's the only one that is okay for you. I'll give the other cans to the guys. Is he planning something? Is he going to give Andrey and Vadim poisoned meat to kind of disable them? I hated Mark's habits of not telling me about his plans, but I had no energy to argue. Focusing on not letting my emotions run wild again, I picked up the blue can. The stew in the blue really was tasty, and I was even more pleased that very soon we'll be able to eat well every day. I wonder what my reaction would have been if someone had told me a month ago that I'd be happy to eat condensed milk and stew for lunch. Meanwhile, Mark had put the remaining cans into his backpack and was now pacing around the room, examining the contents of the shelves and muttering to himself. Why do you want to carry the cans now? It'll be easier to convince the guys this way. By the way, I'm done. Let's go into the next room. That's where I hid the guns. I got up reluctantly. After lunch, even such a frugal one, I didn't want to move at all. Come on, one last push. Think about spending the night here in a warm, safe place. This should motivate you. It was a really nice thought. I hope it'll be like that. Let's go. We left the storage room and entered the door across the corridor. Why do you want me to wait in this room and not in the storage one? Are you sure you can hold back if you stay in a room with a bunch of food? Not really. That's it. Mark took the gun from the hiding place and handed it to me. Do you know how to use it? I just have to pull the trigger, right? Yes, but remember to take the safety off first. Here it is. Mark showed me a small lever located on the left side. You shouldn't take it off ahead of time. I think I've got it. Great, then I'll go. Don't forget to close the door when I leave. Mark left the room and I followed him out. He gave me a questioning look. I want to say goodbye properly. Fine, but as soon as I leave, just go into the room and close the door, okay? Okay. When do you think you'll be back? It will take about 15 minutes to get to the plane, but it may take a few hours for everyone to pack up and leave. And how are you going to explain my absence? Good question. Any ideas? Maybe you can ask someone to say that I went to the cave, and then you'll add that we missed each other. Just don't ask Nick, otherwise Andrey will understand that you're helping me. I can ask Nastya. She can say that you asked her for directions. Good idea. Then I go. See ya. See you, Kira. He turned away and took a few steps. Mark. Yes? Come here. He returned obediently. After a few seconds of hesitation, I made my mind and hugged him. Alas, we get some more CGs. Thank you. He hugged me back. We stood like that for a couple of minutes. Everything is going to be alright. You sure? I am. We let each other go and Mark walked away. I watched him until he finally disappeared in his eyes. I swear to God. Oh, Andrey better not fucking kill him. He better not. Suddenly I remembered that I had nothing to measure time with, and my biological clock worked poorly. Well, I just have to wait. Everything will get better soon. Oh God, it's actually getting darker. Ugh. We're going to another chapter. Nick. Chapter 13. Maybe there's 15, I don't know. Because it feels like it's building up to something here. I love games. Mafia, for example. First of all, the classic version. Doctors and courtesans are fun, but nothing compares to the simplicity and elegance of a 10-person game. A classic Mafia game is like a formal men's suit. I experienced almost the same feelings when I tried on my first suit, and when I sat down at a table in a Mafia club for the first time. I should look at this. Social deduction game, popular among Russian speakers. The game models a conflict between two groups, an informed minority, the mafiosi or the blacks, and an uninformed majority, the civilians or the reds. Yeah. Let me sip some water. Both of my memories are connected with my father. Dad gave me my first suit when he decided to take me to a corporate party, and he also invited me to the Mafia Club for the first time. I've loved going there ever since. At first, the regular players at the club were sceptical of me, offering to come on days when college and high school students gather, but after a while I finally earned the right to play at the adult table. The players who like the role of an innocent citizen are in the minority, and I am one of them. Others say that it's more fun to play as mafiosi, because you can feel the power by killing the reds at night, but this seems uninteresting to me. It's not because I don't like to lie or to open my eyes when others have them closed. I just believe that nothing compares to revealing someone else's scheme, seeing through the enemy, reading their emotions. Even the sheriff's role does not appeal to me, because the sheriff is a citizen with a cheat code, and I don't like cheat codes. I was tired of waiting inside, so I decided to leave the plane once again. Vadim and Mitrich were smoking near the entrance. I did not approach them. Instead, I moved away from the plane with the intention of wandering around a little. But before I even started my short walk, I noticed a figure of a man about 30 metres away. I thought that it could be any of the three people who were absent from the camp, but after a few seconds I made out the silhouette of Mark, with a backpack. I walked quickly to meet him. Mark? He looked too relaxed. I should warn him as soon as possible. Nick, everything is fine? Isn't Kira with you? I was hoping to talk to him privately, but people were already gathering around us. They must have heard me shout. Mark looked at them all and continued as if nothing had happened. No, last time I saw her was in the morning. Why are you asking? Did Andrey really calculate everything? I didn't believe a word he said, but Mark, without realising it, was making himself more and more suspicious in the eyes of the others. It seemed to me that we were playing Mafia and I was the only one who saw through the black players. Quit this game, man, for now I ask in a good way. Where is Kira? Vadim's stupidity revealed all the cards and gave Mark the opportunity to analyse the situation. I don't think he realised how fucked the situation was, but judging by the slightly changed expression on his face, he was close to it. Why do you think you can interrogate me? Mark pointedly turned away from Vadim and asked the next question, looking into my eyes. Nick, where is Andrey? Hey, you! He left to look for Kira. I got an angry look from Vadim for daring to interrupt him, but now it was important to give Mark the necessary information. I see. I am leaving then. Mark turned and took a couple of steps away, but Vadim quickly blocked his way. I have to get that gun out. Where the hell are you going? I'm going to save Kira from your master. Firstly, you are the reason why she needs to be saved. Secondly, if you tell something like that again, I'll make you fucking regret it. What has Andrey been telling you? Clearly, I think Andrey's been filling Vadim's head with stuff. Vadim's face took a satisfied expression, as if he was proud of handling a phrase containing firstly and secondly. Fuck off. After these words, Mark tried to bypass Vadim, blocking his way, but instead took a punch in the face. Some of the girls started screaming. Mitrich and Vitya rushed to Vadim to pull him away from Mark lying on the snow. Boys, act like human beings, for God's sake. Maybe Kira's fine after all and you're acting like I don't know. Ignoring Vadim's threats and Mitrich's babbling, I approached Mark lying on the snow. I spoke quietly enough that no one but him could hear me. Andrey came up with a very plausible story, and most believe that you've really hurt Kira. Don't do anything stupid, please. He told them to keep you inside the plane at any cost, and some perceive his words as an order. Having finished, I took a napkin out of my pocket and handed it to Mark. He wiped his bleeding nose and stood up. You'll regret it, I swear. Mark made one final threat against Vadim and headed for the plane. Lisa, who had been watching in fright, snapped out of her daze and ran up to Mark to find out how badly he was hurt. I decided not to disturb them. Mark answered her something, after which he turned around again and went to Vadim, who had calmed down a little. He tensed up and seemed to be preparing for a fight again. Come with me. What? I say, come with me. You don't trust me and don't want to let me go, right? So come with me. If you're trying to pull some fucking trick, I'm trying to save Kira. Even if you're sure I did something to her, why can't you come with me and check? Nothing to check here, it's all clear. Just come with me. You, Mitrich and Lisa. Oh, why Lisa? Kira might need a doctor. I am not playing this fag's games. Wow, dude. Oh, God, you do test my patience. Quite a bit, you do. Mark remained silent. It seems that he decided to swallow his pride for the sake of the opportunity to help Kira. Why don't you want to go with Mark? Are you afraid of him or what? Mark my words, I'm afraid of nothing. I don't see any problems either. Just check it out and come back. I didn't expect support from Alisa. I wonder what's behind that. Did she decide to speak out against Andrey, or is she up to something? Vadim, who did not receive support even from Mitrik and Alisa, decided to give up. Okay, let's go, but better be quick. And you go first, I have to see you. Lisa, are you coming? Yes, I'm ready. But where are we going? To the cave. We'll get there in something like 15 minutes if we walk fast. Have you already been there? Yes, I asked Kira to wait for me there. But you said you haven't seen her since morning. Alice's voice sounded mocking, as if she had found a contradiction in Mark's words. From my point of view, she was right, but Mark didn't even blink an eye. I lied. Now let's go. Wait, so you've seen her? Yes, follow me. I'll tell you everything on the way. Without waiting for someone to give the go-ahead, Mark confidently and quickly moved in the direction from where he came to the camp. Vadim, Mitrik and Lisa hurried after him. After a while they disappeared from sight, and the audience returned to the plane. The wait was very tedious. I once again regretted that I don't smoke. My first and last attempt, made a couple of months ago, was a complete failure. I coughed so much that my friends even got a little worried for me, and when I finally felt better I realised that the story did not end there. Several weeks of constant jokes and taunts awaited me. Maybe I should try it again. I've always made up my mind to take a cigarette from the common carton, but at that moment people walked into the plane. I'm just going to jump cut because it's getting dark here, so I need to put a light on. Okay, back in. Right, just close the blinds on my room, put the light on, there we go, close the windows in my apartment because it's getting evening, it's bloody, 9:30 at night by now, it's getting dark. Alright, so, at that moment people walked into the plane. Who's it going to be? It was Mark and his guards. No one was there. It seemed to me that if they had found Kira alive and well, Vadim would have been less happy than he was now. There were traces of blood. Yeah, you've left them. In the cave? In the bunker. Under the cave there is a bunker. Did Kira know about it? Yes, I showed it to her and asked her to wait for me there, without opening the door to anyone, but she apparently didn't listen. And what about Andrey? You didn't meet him? No. We went through all the rooms of the bunker, but there was no one there. Mark, you know how to hide corpses. Well done, dude. Oh, Vadim, you are frigging testing my patience. Shut up. I mean, obviously... it's just... I know technically we, the audience, are in receipt of information that he, the character, is not. So naturally he can only make a decision based on what he's seeing. But it's that sort of deliberately infuriating thing. You just want to friggin' slap him. Vadim was so pleased with himself and with his jokes that he didn't even answer. Now we can only hope that Andrey has found her. I hope that he didn't, although apparently everything was already clear, but I still believe that Kira can be saved. By the way, can you explain why you lied? And why did you ask her to wait in the bunker? I'll tell you everything when Andrey returns. Alice snorted, wrapped herself in a blanket and turned away. The camp went back into standby mode. Here comes Andrey. Oh, this is Elisa. Here comes Andrey. Alice, who was smoking outside, entered the plane to tell us the news. Hearing this, Mark got up and rushed to the exit. I hurried after him. Get the gun out. Shoot him. Just fucking shoot him. Just do it. Shoot him now, and then turn it on anyone who basically tries to kill you. Well, when we got out, I saw Andrey unhurriedly approaching the plane. Did you find Kira? In response to a question, Andrey put on his face the artificial grief that I've ever seen. No, but I found this. Andrey showed us a hat. I recalled that it belonged to Kira. Now it was covered in blood. Oh, you fucking asshole, what have you done? In the next second, something happened that I did not expect at all. With some incredible leap, Mark, who was still far enough away from Andrey, overcame the distance separating them, knocked him down and started choking him. What have you done to her, you bastard? Tell me where she is. Wow. The shadow of doubt I had about Mark was gone. I knew it was absolutely sincere hatred. Only a person who has come face to face with the murder of someone close is capable of it. However, others might think it proves that Mark is no stranger to violent outbursts. Vicha and Mitrich rushed to help. The same people who saved Mark from Vadim today were now dragging the former away from Andrey. Mark finally calmed down a little and they let him go. After that, Andrey got up, shook Snow off and spoke. Mark, this cheap show you put on isn't going to help you. You have to answer for what you did to the poor girl. Andrey's right, we can't leave it like this. Please, Mark, tell me you have a fucking gun. Please tell me you took a gun. Because this is a situation where you just need to shoot him. Just fucking kill him. And tell anyone else who wants to be a problem that if they don't listen, that you're going to shoot at them if they're going to be a problem. Yeah. Seeing that no one is going to object, I decided to take on the role of an attorney. Uncle Mitya, we haven't even listened to him. We should let Mark tell his version. Yes, that's right, thank you. Oh, thank God. Thank God for Nick and Boria and probably Nastya as well, because she probably will pipe up in a sec. That's right. I think that both Andrey and Mark may be hiding something. Let's get back to the plane and both of them will tell us everything they know. Andrey casted a displeased glance at Boria. Okay, I don't mind. I had to tell all this again, but if that's what you want, then I'll make an effort. Everything seems so absurd to me. Why does no one notice the insincerity in his words? How can they believe him at all? Because he's manipulative, okay? We got back to the plane and Andrey started talking, plus everyone's in a desperate situation. They're not thinking straight. Ugh. First, I'll repeat the part I told you all this morning. During our joint outing, Kira told me why she was so angry with Mark. They were in a relationship with her, and that relationship was just terrible. Mark humiliated her, was physically abusive, until she finally found the strength to leave him. You have a rather vivid imagination, Andrey. In fact, Kira and I broke up because I was working on my dissertation and didn't devote enough time to her. Yeah, sure. She warned that you like to make excuses like that and lie about the real facts. Why didn't you tell us about that? About what? About the fact that Mark can use this excuse, talking about breaking up with Kira, so he can make sure that Kira really told you about their breakup. Because now it seems that you made this up on the spot. Yes, Nick, come on. Come on, characters on Mark's side, you need to stand up, you need to pick his whole testimony apart, you need to put him on the spot, grill him. This is a minor detail and I forgot about it. I couldn't tell you the whole conversation word for word. And by the way, can you stop interrupting me? Mark will have time to tell his story and then you can also speak out, Kolya. Andrey got away with it, but to be honest it didn't sound very convincing. We'll have to try to catch him on something else. Fortunately, Mark had calmed down and now looked as rational as ever. I had no doubt that he would be able to win over some of the doubters to our side. When she told me that I expressed sympathy, of course, but I didn't tell anyone anything. After all, Kira trusted only me, a man she had known since childhood. I did not want to divulge her secrets. Moreover, this was a relationship between two adults, and it was left in the past, so why would I intervene? That's what your Mark really is, and he pretended to be an intellectual. Once I happened to watch a pseudo-scientific film about the fact that water has a memory, it argued that positive words and emotions improve water's quality and vice versa. If it was real, the hatred that Vadim put into the word intellectual would be enough to rot the Pacific Ocean. But last night the situation changed. Did you all notice that Kira was very depressed? I noticed it and asked her to talk. Then she told me some awful things, about the fact that Mark even here doesn't leave her alone. He asked her to reunite, and when she refused he began to threaten. He told Kira that it would kill her if she didn't change her mind. And why didn't tell it last night? And said waited for the morning when Kira disappeared. That should probably be reworded. Why didn't you tell us last night? Probably. I didn't take those words seriously. Yes, such behaviour on Mark's part seemed disgusting to me, but I was sure that these were just words, empty threats. I couldn't believe he was capable of murder, but Kira's disappearance this morning changed it. And I told you everything and organised a search which resulted in this. Andrey pointed to the hat he had brought lying on the floor. I suppose Kira maybe committed suicide? Shot herself? I don't know. Or wandered out? I don't know. I'm sure it'll resolve everything in due course, but that's basically it. Yes, I have no direct evidence of Mark's involvement, but as you can see, everything points to it. There is simply no one else who could have done that. Andrey fell silent. It's time to interrogate the main and the only prosecution witness. Come on, Nick. If you are into strategy games, this is your time to shine, boy. Why did you come back alone, and why so late? I was hoping I'd find her. Isn't it obvious? But you were with Uncle Mitya. Why did he come back earlier? He was tired. I had no right to force him to continue the search, but I couldn't leave Kira either, so I kept wandering, hoping that I would find her. Uncle Mitya, is this true? Yes, I was really tired. Age is taking its toll. He answered very quietly and lowered his head. What is he ashamed of, I wonder? For not being able to continue the search? Or for his lies? You say that Mark threatened Kira and she was very scared. Why do you think she decided to go after him today? He could make her. Kira said he had a knife. Only it doesn't fit with the fact that Mark left earlier and Kira followed him. How do you know that? Nastya told me. She saw Mark leaving when Kira was still at the camp. Nick is telling the truth. I really saw it. I didn't ask Mark where he was going. It was early in the morning, when almost everyone was still asleep. And Kira was asleep? No, she woke up, but she was inside the plane when I saw Mark leaving. Andrey hesitated. This hole in his story was really not easy to explain. I don't know why she left. Kira's very soft and naive, so maybe he had called her to talk, and she had agreed. She treated Mark well no matter what, and believed that he would change. He could have asked her to meet outside the camp under the pretext of reconciliation. Oh God, I'm really tense. I'm actually really tense here. And why did I leave earlier then? That's exactly so that now you have something like an alibi. This suggests that you have thought everything through carefully in advance. Do you even believe in what you're saying? Sure, and your pathetic excuses won't convince me. I have one last question left. Come on, Nick. Come on, give him the slugger. Friggin' punch him with intellectual thought. Yes. Where did you find the hat? In the bunker. There is a bunker under the cave. From Nastya's and Borya's description of the cave, I realised that something was wrong with it, and I was sure that Mark would take Kira there. I searched the cave, came across a bunker and found a hat in one of the rooms. I didn't find anything else in this bunker. Kira herself wasn't there. I have no further questions. Maybe someone else has? Everyone was silent. Either they had already decided everything for themselves and wanted to finish as soon as possible, or I had just asked all the questions that could come to mind. Then it's my turn now. Andrey came up with a very beautiful legend to justify his monstrous actions, but it's time for you all to find out the truth. Skip these dramatic introductions, quickly acquaint us with your miserable excuse and let's get this over with. What's that, mate? What's up, mate? You don't want to hear it? You trying to hurry it along? It was easy for Andrey to come up with this story, since it was enough for him to swap himself with me. In fact, he raped Kira when they were looking for the bags, carried a self-made knife and threatened to kill her if she spoke out. Couldn't come up with anything smarter than turning it around at me. Do you think Kira would have kept silent if she had been raped? Mark wasn't in the best position. I thought about Mafia again. He was like a sheriff who was revealing himself immediately after the fake sheriff. As you said, she's a very gentle and soft person, although she tries to seem strong and fearless. It didn't cost you anything to intimidate her. The sheriff, unlike the mafiosi, is limited by the fact that he has to tell the truth. Therefore, if the fake sheriff composes a story not from scratch, but simply changes a few details in the real story, the sheriff will have nothing left but to repeat most of his words. In such situations, inexperienced players tend to believe the one who revealed themselves. Noticing that Kira had become depressed and detached, I decided to speak with her. Early in the morning I told her that she should come to the cave and chat with me. That's where we spent most of our time with her, and that's where she told me everything. After that, we decided to return, but Kira was afraid that our plans would be revealed. She knew that this could trigger Andrey, so we agreed that she would wait in the bunker under the cave. That's where I took you when I found out that Andrey wasn't in the camp, but this scumbag somehow managed to get there faster than us. Mark looked around, as if trying to figure out whether survivors believed him or not. By the way, a fear of Andrey is also explained by the fact that he is an experienced murderer. In high school, he raped and killed their classmate. Wow, you're out of your fucking mind. Kira must have told you a long time ago that a classmate was killed. This event had serious effects on our psychological state, on mine also. And now you've decided to drag this story and hang it on me. Do you have any proof at all? Your confessions to Kira. But of course you're the only one who's heard them. In short, you just keep lying to protect yourself. It should be obvious to everyone. Is this the point where someone has to lie? Someone maybe pops up and says, no, I was there and I heard it as well, even though they weren't. I don't know. I'm getting suddenly... Okay, I'm thinking in like very Danganronpa V3 terms here. You know how in Danganronpa V3 there are sometimes opportunities where you actually lie in trials in order to kind of trick people up, things like that, in order to get to the truth. I tried to evaluate the situation. It was very difficult to say who was trusted more. Mark's story was a little more plausible, but it was ruined by the fact that up to a certain point, Kira was getting along with Andrey and showed a dislike for Mark. This is what Andrey pointed out several times before starting the search in the morning. It seems that if we sum up all these facts, Mark loses in the eyes of others. I have a question. Both Mark and Andrey mentioned the bunker, but did not tell any details. How did you find it at all? I found it when I was exploring the cave. What is the purpose of this bunker? Who's built it? Mark shrugged his shoulders. No idea, it's just an old bunker. I suggest you go there in the morning and see for yourself. Why don't we go there? For multiple reasons. To begin with, it's warm there is food and medicine, but there is another reason. I didn't notice any food there when I was looking for Kira. Did they move it? Or has Mark got it now? That's because I hid it well. It is your trump card. You're going to say, I know where all the supplies are, and that way you're going to make it so that they can't kill you, they have to respect you. Why did you hide the food? You were planning to eat everything yourself, right? No, it just turned out recently that there is a snake among us who likes to steal from shared supplies. If you're implying that it was me, you said there was one more reason. There we can charge the phone that Kira had. She recorded Andrei's threats, but it ran out of charge very quickly because of the cold. Kira gave the phone to me, just in case. Why didn't you charge it right away? She didn't have a charger with her, and there wasn't one in the bunker either. In general, everything there is quite outdated, because the bunker was constructed a long time ago. But now we can take the charger, turn on the phone, and deal with this scumbag once and for all. You're lying. There is no phone with records. You're just trying to buy yourself time. What do you think I will get from it? If there are no records, as you claim, we will be able to vote on the question of which of the two of us should be isolated. Or we can both isolate ourselves and sit in different rooms of the bunker until we find means of communication there and call the rescuers. I like this plan. Me too. The others didn't mind either. The news about the warm bunker with food was so nice that everyone decided to trust Mark in this matter. By the way, I brought some food. Did you poison it? Give it to Andrey. With these words, Mark took out several cans of stew from his backpack. When I saw it, my mouth watered and my breath quickened. Why are they open? I decided to taste them all to find the most delicious one. Vadim was the first to reach for food, but Andrey stopped him. Vadim, take your time. I think Mark should try it first, after all. He found this food and brought it to us. He stared into Mark's eyes, or is this a bluff? I ate in the bunker and I don't want any more. It sounded more and more suspicious. Can't eat even a little bit? I'm already sick. You shouldn't eat too much if you haven't had any food for a long time. Isn't that right, Liz? Exactly. Then maybe Nick, as the youngest. You don't mind, do you, Mark? Obviously, Andrey suspected that something might be wrong with the food. The fact that the cans were open and Mark refused to take food seemed suspicious to me too. I'm all for it. For the first time today, you've made a sound point. Can I trust Mark completely? Could it be that he really put poison in the cans? Well, there's multiple cans here, so he might give you one that's not affected, assuming he has put something in them. I say take it, right? Because right now I think Mark is the only one who we're sort of gravitating towards in terms of trust. We definitely not trust this motherfucker. Take the food. I decided that I was making it up. Of course Mark would never sacrifice innocent people for revenge. I chose one, a random can, and took a piece from there. After I swallowed it, others reached out for food. Guys, let's make sure that everyone gets their share and don't hurry. The food ran out quickly. Everyone got just a little bit. After dinner I decided to take a walk. Tensions were high in the plane, I didn't want to stay there. After wandering for a while I felt cold and decided to get back on the plane. After a couple more hours of doing nothing, Lisa finally said what I was waiting for. Let's go to bed so that we can wake up early tomorrow and move to the bunker as soon as possible. Not so fast, I don't trust Mark. Let's select the sentries. I can keep my eyes on him. Great, wake me up when you will start falling asleep. Everyone except Vadim found empty seats, wrapped themselves in jackets and blankets and got ready for bed. Meanwhile, Vadim sat down right in front of Mark and started glaring at him. Mark decided not to participate in the staring contest and turned away to the wall. I wasn't going to sleep yet, intending to think about everything that happened today, but after a while I was overcome by sleepiness.
Right, I think they'll be a little bit stronger.
Probably, yeah.
Just be expected, really. Go, yeah. Nice.
Go. towards me. Hold on. Let's remove that. Shot them out again. Do some heavy damage. Oh, here they come. Get out of it. Go up. Stop it. There we are.
My God,
Down.
damn.
Doors. They're all coming. They're all coming, Phil.
Really cool to get them out.
I can see things are about to kick off, so I got out of there.